when we talk about like personal growth and inner work, there's never a place that you'll ever feel like I have arrived. That's not what this is. There is no endpoint to what this is. So my ability to quote unquote not hide as you see me today on social media is light years ahead of where I was 10 years ago, but it still hasn't probably even scratched the surface of who I really am.
Welcome to the School of Becoming podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Litt. Hello, beautiful souls. Do I have a woman in the room for you? I'm just going to say advance before I even read her gorgeous, gorgeous intro. If children are near you, you're going to want to put headphones on them or go duct tape them to the wall and move into a different room because the word fuck is going to be prominent in today's conversation. As I introduce you to someone who I know and love dearly, the one and only no BS Vicki Pollack. Vicki Pollack is a straight talking New Yorker turned digital entrepreneur. She is the founder of the Vicki Pollack course collection and host of the, wait for it, Beyond the Bullshit podcast. Like, thank God for that podcast, first and foremost. Known as the No BS New Yorker, she's built her reputation by teaching aspiring digital solopreneurs how to create profitable online businesses through practical, fluff-free strategies and education. She has signature programs like the Rookie Course, the Ultimate Social Sales Course, and Vicki transforms complex business concepts into direct, loving, kick your ass, actionable steps that helps countless people actually turn their dreams into reality. Vicki, welcome to the stage.
Okay. Tracy, what do you think it says about me that every podcast I've ever been on, the host has to start it with, by the way, if your kids are in the room, you might want to exit stage left. Like that's a reflection of me, right? That's
It
got
is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of your incredible authenticity. And we know here on the podcast, I'm fucking shit. And like, it is, my vernacular is to be fully expressed. And cursing is just part of it. And I happen to adore that. And because you are my guest, we're adding like an extra layer, right? So it's going to be coming at us from both sides. And I actually want to underscore something for the beautiful, beautiful being that is listening. If the way that you speak, the way that you show up, sans giving any shits what anyone else thinks or doesn't think, is the actual authentic version of you, not like the bullshit you have to be authentic, like actual authentic. So if when you're listening to us, you're like, fuck yes, oh, that feels true to me, and I'm going to start to allow myself to express. And if it's not, that's totally cool. But one of the things I know Vicki is going to bring home in varying levels is what you think social media success is not it. And it is so much more direct and simpler than that. So, Vicki, hi.
Can I say one thing about what you just said?
Say everything.
So I had like a group coaching container and I was just on a call with them this morning and somebody there is attempting to help people bake gluten-free desserts when the person who they're trying to teach isn't gluten-free yet. Like they want to teach the people how to go from like gluten-full desserts to gluten-free desserts. And I was like, okay, but one of the things I really love to do is help people just like get to the simplest form of the fraction of what you're trying to say, because really just say the thing that you're trying to say. And so I was working with her, I'm like, but what's the ultimate thing that you're helping people with? And the answer really was just, she's like, I'm really helping people bake gluten-free desserts that don't taste like shit. And I'm like, right. So that's exactly what your messaging is going to be. But everyone's so afraid to just say the thing that's like on their mind because we're all so programmed to put a filter in between our mouths and like the air. And I just think my journey in entrepreneurship and in life has really become removing the filter from your mouth. I mean, and it's so refreshing. Isn't it refreshing?
It is so refreshing. Oh my God. Okay. So, beautiful listener, I want you to jot this down. I want you to process it and journal on it, and then come back and DM me or Vicki with what comes up. Who are you actually without the filter? Who are you without the filter?
Most people won't know. or most
Why do you
people
think that is? Yeah.
well, most people, because I believe here's what happens, and this is why work that you do is so brilliant. Because I think what happens is we're raised with with this pre-programming of how we should be in the world, how we should show up, how we should answer people, how we should speak, how we should communicate. And like, hate to be cliche here, but you ever heard like, I don't want to should all over you. Well, we've been shoulding all over ourselves since we're born because that's just generationally what people did and do. Like they're right. And so we were told, hey, show up in the world this way because this way is acceptable. This way will conform. This way will help you not be judged. This way will prevent harm from you. This way will whatever. And so we're just here we are as like lumps of human matter walking around with this pre-programming. And so now we're into our 30s, 40s, 50s, and people are like, hey, just show up as you. And you're like, but what does that even mean?
I love this already. And I want to underscore that too, because that's something that I find interesting when people have said to me, or copywriters have worked with us, right? And they'll say, to be the woman that you truly are, or to be the woman that you've always been, or who you're meant to be, you actually have no idea who that is, right? Like, I don't align to that language at all because who you are is a byproduct of somebody else's shit, unhealedness, programming, belief structure, right? The things that happen to you, etc. So it's like almost an abdication of power to be like who you are because you don't know who you are.
Yep. And now today, in today's fast forward to 2025, where average people with 0 degrees, 0 certification, 0 experience in marketing or branding or any of that, fast forward to this day and age where we now tell those exact people that you just described, hey, go show up on social media and just be yourself. The fuck does that mean to someone who doesn't know themselves on a visceral level? And so, to full circle this to why when Tracy and I were speaking about like what are we going to talk about today because we could take this in so many different directions. The reality of it is let's talk about social media growth, but the real stuff underneath it that has nothing to do with using hashtags that go viral, right? There's such a it's inextricable the work that you have to do with yourself, on yourself, inside of yourself to be able to show up as and find what it even means to be unapologetically you.
Yes. And we can go down into how do you become unapologetically you, because you have a beautiful story to share too. You said something in when we were talking about where do we want to take this conversation. And ultimately, it was something to the effect of your ability to be successful on social media is based on your willingness to stop hiding. Does that feel like, I feel like that's the gist,
That's it.
right?
Period.
So can you expand upon that? Because I think it's me too. Everyone who's listening, I'm raising my hand. We are all susceptible. We all have egos. We all hear hashtag this. We all hear this moment, this, and it's coming from a good place because you really want to make an impact, right? And quite frankly, those are the only people Vicki and I speak to. Where if you're here to like just make some money and do something, you just leave. Like this is not where we hang, right? You're here to do meaningful work and make fuck you money along the way because you deserve both. Can you speak to that, like, that truth and how you have made the impact you've made, doubling down on being you and not hiding?
Yeah. And I also think it's very important to note that the not hiding part, the being you part, there's never, ever a person on earth that feels like, well, I have arrived. I am not hiding at all. This is 100% me, because that's not possible either. And I think when we talk about like personal growth and inner work, there's never a place that you'll ever feel like I have arrived. That's not what this is. There is no endpoint to what this is. So my ability to quote unquote not hide as you see me today on social media is light years ahead of where I was 10 years ago, but it still hasn't probably even scratched the surface of who I really am. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
Yeah. So it's not like you see success on social media. You see this person on social media and still, even though I still feel so unapologetically me, I probably still have so much more that I could bring um as that person, as the real Vicky, as the fearless 8-year-old Vicky who was told to stop asking so many questions because she was annoying. The fearless 8-year-old who was told to stop questioning everything and to stop whatever, like the rebel, that little person that still lives inside of us, they can bubble up even more no matter how much you like quote unquote arrived.
Okay, I'm curious. If you, no, not if, when you invite 10% more of that in for you and you tick up even more into your unabashed, unapologetic, what's an element that gets to come forth?
I think what that looks like for me is releasing just a little bit more anger, just releasing the angry attachment I have to some things, because as much as I can be a loudmouth on social media and I can just say it like it is, there's still a tiny part of me that messaging and that content is created from a place of anger, like of really true frustration for, and then fill in the blank, right? And for those of you who don't follow me on social media, I speak out a lot about unethical marketing and about messages that are people are falling prey to. And there's this crusader that lives in me that's like, you must keep going on the path of, fixing the world. And with that, for me, comes this angry attachment when I'm slowly realizing I don't know if I can ever get to the nirvana place, which is change the entire landscape of marketing and have nobody be an unethical marketer, right? Like that's impossible for me, right? And so because of that, it's like this little angry attachment place. So I feel like my next 10% growth is how do I still show up as a powerful marketer, a powerful messenger, a a confident woman with really important things to say and not have such an angry attachment to my messaging. I think that's my 10% more.
Fuck, I love you. And this resonates with me so much. The first thing I want to say is you continue to like my my jaw drops, okay? And beautiful listener, like what you just experienced was an authentic, unapologetic, vulnerable answer, right? That will be listened to in perpetuity forever and ever as long as podcasts shall live. This will live somewhere, right? And I really need everyone to take notice of that. And I need to just sit here and love and witness you because that's actually what fullest expression and authenticity is. To me, authenticity is fullest expression. And it doesn't mean you know definitively, but just your ability to go, you know what, this is what it would look like. And it is inevitably uncomfortable to be authentic. It just is, right? And I also want to say from a place of resonance, because I have had the pleasure of serving you, right? You have been my client. And there's this mom voice thing that I do, right? There's this like lean in. And I realize that the more I evolve, right, and the more I heal, because me too, I'm like on this crusade to make like the human growth and potential industry what it should be, and everyone needs to realize that they're creating codependency, and there's all of these like coach trauma. When I learned that was a thing, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, you know what I mean? So as I healed more of just myself, my mom voice comes out less and less, which I find fascinating.
And that's just it. Oh my God, that is such a perfect analogy, the mom voice. You're so right. And no one's ever asked me that question before. What does 10% more of you look like? And I think that's it. It's the releasing of the angry attachment, the releasing of the angry attachment. And
Right.
for people like us who are crusaders for, I fight for the underdog kind of a person. That's who I am. That's my life's journey is to not take on that angry attachment energy. that I have. So I think when I can begin my path to evolution in that world,
Mm.
that's where my next growth, that's what my next level business will look like, is being able to really live in that. Not just like do that as a skill, but like really embody a lack of angry attachment. That's totally different. Can I say one thing too, Trace?
Say everything.
So I was born in Queens, New York, and born under the reign of a very strict grandmother who I could never please. And everything I did was wrong. And I was the only one that she would physically reprimand. And I was in a household where I was really programming myself to be the rebel, to buck the system, to be the black sheep. And like, that's just how I was raised. And so what that really did for me was it hardened my outer shell. And so it's like, I'll never let you see me cry. I'll never let you see me cry. I'm a badass. Don't fuck with me. And then I evolved into a teenager and then a grown ass woman with an angry outer shell. And that outer shell, I tricked myself into believing that it protects you from something, right? That's like just what we do. We're like, oh, well, you're not going to fuck with me or my heart or my feelings. I'm going to be an outer shell. And now, please understand, I have gone to work to forgive my grandmother, to love I mean, she's passed 1,000 years on already, but I've gone to work to heal that whole conversation for myself. But there I found myself as a hardened 20 something year old about to be on the brink of marriage. And I said to myself, I can't do this because I'll never let anyone like penetrate. I'll never let anyone penetrate that outer shell. And what got me on this journey to personal development, to healing myself, was really seeing how I was functioning from a third party view and saying, this is never going to get me anywhere other than alone, miserable, and angry. And it like serves you until it no longer does.
Mm-hmm.
And then off I went on my journey. And then I found you, Tracy. And what you did for me, and I think this is really important for the listener. And I don't know where you do the visualization exercise that you did with me, where you had us listening to you with our eyes closed. And we, at the end of the visualization, we walked up to a porch and there was someone,
Yes.
right? And there was someone as on a rocking chair on the porch. And the person in the rocking chair was you, or was me, when I was 89 years old. And in that visualization, I was able to speak to my 89-year-old self. This is how impactful your work was for me. Do you understand? Like that was that visualization, that experience, that ability to release was one of the most impactful pivots that I was able to make, because it was the first time that I ever was able to see my life as a what would she do moment. And you introduced the concept to me of what would she do. And when I started to live my life, but really live my life through that path, everything began to change for me. Because if we can just collectively live and make decisions in the moment based on what our 89-year-old selves would do, would tell us, the advice that they would give us, what they would tell us about how we will ultimately feel if we do X, Y, or Z, when we make decisions from that place, your entire fucking life changes. Your whole life changes. You're not in survival mode anymore. You're not attached to things as heavily. You are able to live in a state of flow that I've never personally seen another way to do, another tool that I've been able to use quite like I did with my 89-year-old self. So my point in telling that whole story it's easy for people to get on a podcast and talk about how fucking enlightened they are about whatever. But when I tell you the amount of work that I've done on clearing up my energetic space so that I can show up as the powerful person, it's been nothing short of probably multiple six-figure investment at this point, plus hours and,
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
journey. But
Yeah.
your work really started that for me in a really epic way.
Thank you. I received that. And the way you just put that is the key, the truth, right? Because it's the future version of you that's always going to pull you up, right? And call you up. And it's a different version than who you currently are, right? And I think you can weave that in even when it comes to like social media. Like if we were to stop and regulate yourself and close your eyes and fast forward to your 89-year-old self, she'd be like, just fucking press the live button and say words. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Totally. Yes.
You know?
That's exactly it. And then here you are perseverating and thinking and overthinking and analyzing and staying stuck and in a fucking spiral of nothingness. And then you wake up tomorrow doing the exact same shit all over again. Well, guess what? What's going to snap you out of that spiral? Absolutely nothing if you don't approach life in a different way, right? It's not even about how do I turn my camera on and do a talking head video? It's not about the strategy behind social media. It's about energetically clearing yourself so that when you press the play button, you don't go into a fight or flight mode and freeze and do fucking nothing and delete the thing and then just move about your life. It's really social media growth is about living into this, like, let's just see what happens space. And that makes people so nervous because they're like, oh no, I need safety. I need security. I need to know exactly what happens because otherwise we will die. And you're like, but no, you won't.
Right.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that. Once you hang out a little bit long enough, we know that, like, I've never lost a client yet to visibility or to
No.
being unapologetically who they are.
Totally. Yeah.
So when it comes to social media strategy, metrics, success, virality, right? Things like that. I'm imagining now there's a woman on that's like, okay, heard, we get the inside, right? The energetics, all of those things. And there's still questions around, but how many times a day do I post? And what is the formula for? And do I use hashtags or not? And how do I know which person that is sharing information, right? Like, because yes, there are trends, but there is still advice. There is still best practice, right? We're not sitting here saying those things don't exist, but I want to just give you the floor to kind of speak into the heart of that person who's like, okay, here we go. And how many times do I post, and do hashtags matter, and what trend do I follow, and how do I go viral? What's Vicki's guidance here?
Yep. You ready? Oh, either someone's going to hate this or someone's going to love this. Because here's the epic joke. And guys, this is something I've personally learned, personally experienced after studying virality, after understanding what are Instagram growth coaches telling you. And then little by little by little, it's like pulling the curtain back on Oz. And all of a sudden you see the wizard behind the curtain and you're like, oh, wait, that's it?
Right, but he's like a 4'10" old short dude.
And his name's like Morty. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, fucking Morty's been running this the whole time. And you think it's this fucking colossal thing. Okay. So here's the epic joke about social media.
Okay.
All of it works. Okay. Did you hear me?
Say it again for the people in the back.
All of it fucking works. Hashtags, they work. Keywords, they work. Epic social scroll, epic trending audios, they work. And none of it works all simultaneously. And what I mean by that is there is a willingness that you must have if you are looking to grow eyes on a social media account. Growing eyes on your social media account is not as simple as using, here's what you're going to do. Use hashtags, use viral videos, or trending audios, use that. What it really is, okay, let me figure out what are certain levers that I am able to pull as a social media content creator. And as I pull each one, what is the data telling me is working and what is not working? And so if you can approach social media as a data-driven project, all of a sudden it becomes a little bit less personal and a little bit more, okay, let me figure out if I pull this lever. And what I mean by lever is, let me use 10 hashtags on this post and use all top searched hashtags. So when you type in a hashtag into Instagram and you type in, let's say, hashtag personal development, and next to the word personal development, you'll see how many times other people have used that hashtag. So if it's used, there's evidence to show if a hashtag is used a lot, then that's a good thing. Then there's evidence to show if a hashtag is used not a lot and it's just a fresh hashtag, that's also a good thing, because then if somebody was searching the hashtag, you would be able to stand out in that search versus one that was 37 million searched. Okay. So again, this is just evidence to show no, everything works and everything doesn't. So if you can pull the lever and say, okay, let's say the hashtag lever, I'm going to pull the hashtag lever. I'm going to use 10 hashtags here. And the next post, I'm going to use no hashtags. And then let's see, based on my data, if I can treat this as a science experiment, which post got more views, which post got more shares, which post got more engagement. And then you can say, oh, the post with no hashtags did. Okay, great. But then the next post, you're going to say, okay, great. I use no hashtags on this. So let me use no hashtags on this. Next lever, I'm going to couple it with a trending audio. Let me use no hashtags with this trending audio. Oh, that tanked. Okay, so maybe trending audio doesn't really matter as much as I think. All right, let me put that lever back for a second. We'll put the trending audio to the side. Now let's use talking head videos. Let me see. Talking head videos coupled with no hashtags. What is the data telling me? Because there's a place on your Instagram where you can click on view insights on your post. And those insights tell you everything. They tell you what your audience is engaging with. They tell you if your talking head video got more attention than your carousel post. What went out to more non-followers? Because you really want non-followers in your ecosystem. You want what we call top of funnel content. And I can get into like all of this sort of.
Yeah, girl, I got questions and geeking out. You keep going.
Love it. Okay, got it. So we'll get into the funnel content in a second. The levers is what you need to be willing to do if you want to grow eyes on a social media page, because there is no one size fits all. My data was telling me a year ago that talking head videos, me direct to camera talking head videos, were gaining me tens of thousands of followers. And then I was like, okay, that lever's staying on. That faucet is staying open. Okay. And then the faucet began to slow. The drip got a little bit slower and a little bit slower. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what is this data telling me? Is it telling me that I'm bad at talking head videos? No, that's not, that nobody makes that mean anything. What it's telling you is, okay, now maybe Instagram's algorithm changed a little bit. So let's pull this lever. And this lever for me was carousels, the word tiles with carousel posts. Carousel posts started to gain maybe 10 to 20 times more attention than my talking head videos were. My carousel posts were being shared exponentially more than my talking head videos were. So what did I do? I doubled down on my carousel posts and I hired someone to help me with carousel posts and to help me figure out how do I get the thing that I want to say from my brain onto like a succinct, word tile. That's a skill. And so she helped me with that. And so then I did those, and then those sort of started to drip away. And I was like, all right, so then now what? Now it's B-roll videos. So B-roll videos are, oh, I'm doing something in the background and there's words on the screen, but I'm not speaking. It's usually coupled with a trending audio. It's coupled with hashtags on the, that's usually what a B-roll looks like. And my B-roll videos now do exponentially better than my talking head videos and my carousels. And I'm saying all this not to make you get in the weeds of it all, but so that you understand social media growth is not a direct straight line from A to B. It is a willingness to pull the levers and have those lever pulls be directed by cold, hard data that you're seeing on the back end in your social media.
Okay. I just need to let that, because that was their chef's kiss. I have several notes, beautiful listeners. Don't worry. I'm going to go all the places you're like, because I know everyone's popping off right now in their brains. So here's the thing that's coming to me just right off the bat. What it ultimately sounds like you are teaching us, and you are teaching me, because I have a love-hate with social. I don't have visibility shit, obviously. I worked that out. But I have a love-hate with social at large. But what I'm hearing you say is, it's like parenting. Just when you think you nailed what your kid needed and it was going well, they fucking grow and change, and now you have to be willing to change your approach again.
Isn't that annoying?
Yes.
God damn it.
That's why I literally wrote down, like, just that's that same feeling where you're like, oh my God, I finally got the rhythm and they're sleeping on this. And then boop, there's a growth spurt or something changes. And you're like, damn it, now I have to elevate again.
Yep.
It's never, you just tell me if I'm perceiving this not the way you intended it. What you're ultimately saying is, you're never just settling in and fucking riding off into the sunset once you finally realize your talking head videos were hitting or carousels are the way to be or B-roll, because of the nature of social media and the algorithm with which it's run under, right? And that is their control, none of the users. And you have to be paying attention to the data, like in an experimentation approach, to then shift, because inevitably the only constant is change.
Yes. Isn't that the worst news we've ever heard?
It truly is.
I know. No, I know. And you know what it is too? So here's the thing, right? When I said before, like everything works and like nothing works, the Oz behind the curtain, there's Morty, but then there's also like Morty's fraternal twin. Like there's a million different Mortys. And what I mean by that is you have Instagram growth gurus telling you, do this, do this, do this. And one of the do thises is, hey, actually, you can take that approach to social media, pulling the levers, figuring out what works, or you can literally just show up on social media, talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about, and not give a shit about the Instagram insights and looking at all the data and whatever. And I always tell people that's fine if you're looking to grow eyes on your page as a human being versus as a human being who is strategically looking to build a business and monetize this platform. That's a very different ballgame. And so this is where the modern entrepreneur, it gets very fuzzy for us because we're like, okay, but we're like a human being who has opinions on fucking politics, but we're also a very pointed, very strategic, highly intentional business owner. And we need to somehow make those two things marry. And sometimes getting so in the weeds with data like that makes people feel like I feel like dehumanized. Like, can't I just show up and talk about whatever I want to talk about? Like, yes, but and no, as a business owner, there's data you need to at least consider. So there's just, yeah, it's a journey.
It is a journey. And I love what you said before, the gorgeous gift of rant you just gave us before, when you said, like, it's not personal, it is about the data, right? It's just paying attention to the data, looking at your insights and treating it that way. And, you know, I'm just in such agreement. Everything works and everything doesn't work. I cannot begin to tell you the amount of companies, because we've always had social media support, right? In the beginning, I grew my social media. I was on Facebook only for 2 years, and all I did was TGIM every Monday at 1 o'clock. I would turn on my Facebook Live and I would just say words, and people would come on. And this was bad. Oh my God, you guys want to hear how fucking awesome and how nauseous this makes me now? This was 2017, and I would no shit have 22,000 people hanging out on a Facebook live stream. Okay. And I was like, what? And I remember, like, at one point, my father-in-law, calls me up after. He's like, I saw you on Facebook. I was waving. I was like, Dad, I can't see you. It doesn't work like that. And people would like pop in questions and I would just coach. Right. And I did that 2 years, and I lived in such ignorance is bliss, Vicki. Oh, bring those days back. I was just like, right. And then, you know, moved into other platforms. Where I want to go with this next, because quite frankly, I can't remember where I was going, but it'll come back around, is having support, right, in social media. Because you mentioned, okay, I wanted to do this one thing. So I went and I hired basically a carousel expert to help me do. I'm curious your take and perspective over the business owner themselves executing their own social, right? And I think this also depends on like how much do you like social. Like, I don't even use social media I'm not a scroller. Like, I don't actually utilize social media as a person very much typically. But what is your thought process or advisement around doing social yourself, or your recommendation would be stop at this point, agency versus bringing in a social media manager that works exclusively for you? Do you have any perspective or opinion in that arena? Because we just actually let go of the social media company that was supporting us. And it was just a very interesting process where I came to Jesus and I said this to you, like, some of it was off because it was too outside of me, right? I wanted somebody else to do it, but in doing that, there was a misalignment also.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is so gray. And I think my personal opinion on this, my gut instinct is, well, first of all, you have to consider capital. So I think if you're a business owner right now, if you're an entrepreneur who does not have a lot of capital to play with, then social media is going to be something you're going to have to figure out to step into on your own. But then what happens is as you grow in business, your time begins to be more valuable than the money that you're bringing in. And so I know that sounds weird, but you
No, it's
understand what I mean?
right. Oh, it's
Yes.
right.
And so then you decide, then you take a look at your business from an aerial view and you say, okay, where is my actual zone of genius? What can I actually do task wise that will be the highest return on my investment because only I can do it because it's only my zone of genius. And what else can I outsource? And so if you're in that place in your business and you have capital to play with, I still believe that there are certain aspects of social media growth that you can't outsource. Like you can never outsource doing a talking head video. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
got to be you.
Yeah.
And so I think that hiring an agency, only comes when you have the capital to do so. But I really want to stress this. New entrepreneurs, if you think hiring an agency is going to be the thing that catapults your growth, I could not disagree with that more because it's just not the game of online entrepreneurship anymore. It's not a how to. It's a how can I show up as human as possible to an audience while simultaneously targeting exactly who I want to talk to and make them know that I am their go-to person when they are ready for X, Y, or Z transformation. That's the game. So there's how-to stuff that you can outsource. You can send somebody posts and be like, hey, can you schedule these out for me and ensure that they go out these times? There's, hey, can you even hey, copywriter, can you write the captions in my post? Maybe like you can do that. But the other stuff, the posting and story stuff, the showing up on live stuff, it's a very difficult thing to successfully outsource. I think that's my opinion.
Yeah, I really love what you just said, and I want to go to it because I know that it resonates with some of our listeners. There is this notion that hiring someone to help with social media is like step 2 or step 3, right? When you start your business. And I just want to sit with this because, like you said, everything works and everything doesn't. There'll be 20,000 people that want to argue you don't need a website and 20,000 people that will argue you do need a website, right? So for that person who's like, you know what? I thought that, I tried it. It didn't give me the social media traction that I wanted. It didn't net what I wanted it to net. What is the most important thing for someone when it comes to social then? Like, because there is all these levers, right? If it was like you could only do 2 things, you only had space, right? Is it about frequency? But I'm curious in right now, and I'm also asking this for myself a bit because right now we don't have at like literally as of what day is it today? It's Friday. As of yesterday, there's no one doing our social. And it feels very exciting because it feels very spacious. So I'm sitting here going, oh, maybe I'll play now. Maybe I'll just fuck around and find out. Maybe I'll talk to Vicki and get some more direct advisement, which you guys can do to all their links that I'm going to share in the show notes, and just see what happens, right? So it's like, what's the most important thing to do or things to do?
So you said, is it posting frequency? And my gut was like, nope. Because that's spaghetti on the wall when you preach consistency. Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah,
but
please,
also,
yes.
like, do you know what I'm saying? Like also, what if your content is dog shit and I'm telling you, go post consistently. So you're going to post consistent dog shit. That's what we're talking about. Okay. But the answer to this would be different for someone like you versus a beginner. So for
Right.
someone
Okay.
like you, who's your zone of genius, Trace, is not let me create social media content, right? That's not your personal zone of genius.
Yeah.
Yours is let me like change the world with transformative education, right? Yeah, just a heavy lift, right?
Right.
So
No biggie.
no big deal. But from like a business strategy perspective, like what are the things in your business that you have a zone of genius in? That's what I would focus on. But if you're looking to approach your social media now, like
Yeah.
I think what I would do is let's backtrack for a second. And this goes for anybody. What is your ultimate message of your entire page. So I want you to think of your Instagram page as like an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem of stuff, of content, of messages, of one-liners, of things that you can help people with, an ecosystem of so many things that when you put the ecosystem together
Mm-hmm.
and somebody consumes all of the content in your ecosystem, what is the ecosystem actually looking to help someone do? So the question becomes, how crystal clear is your messaging around what your ecosystem does for people? And I think the kiss of death for most, oh, I'm going to say it, for most, a lot of coaches in your industry,
Yeah.
I look at, and again, who am I? A lot of people can disagree with this, but from my perspective, their messaging is very fluffy. So it's very like, I transform abundance, love, thinking, prosperity, lovers. And you're like, but what the fuck does that mean? Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
do. I do know what you mean. Yes. Yes.
so, and so like someone like me understands
Yeah.
what that person's trying to say, but their ideal client, if their ideal client is someone who's not at all in the personal development space, not at all in the transformative thinking space, they're just in a place in their life where they're like in their I'm done moment. They're like, oh my God, I need fucking help with fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're helping. Oh my God, what language is that person using in that very moment that you, as the Instagram ecosystem owner, can
Mhm.
also use in your ecosystem so that it begins to attract that ideal client because they're like, this is the person that can help me do X, Y, or Z thing.
Mm.
Like, how elementary can you use your languaging? So to go back to your original question, which is what's the first thing that you should do? I'm big on you need to clear up your messaging.
What you're saying essentially is don't even start fucking around on social if you aren't crystal clear with your messaging, your positioning, and like what the solid singular focus.
I tell my students, I help who, do what, and how. That's your I help statement. I help who, do what, and how. Now, if your answers to that is I help like abundant seeking beings who are loving, whatever I said before, prosperity thinkers, okay, your brain knows what that means. But what is your ideal client thinking in that moment? How can you get to the simplest form of the fraction? That's always what I tell people for their messaging is as it pertains to Instagram, especially in your bio, the I help statement, having that first line being the I help who, do what, and how. How elementary can you get with your vernacular and with
Yeah.
what you're looking to say to people? Because that's confused people don't buy. Clear people buy.
What you're saying is so profound. And again, I want to put my hand up as, oh, I fucked that up. I used to judge that. So when I really reflect back too, like on my own growth, judge, like if I came up with an I help for even our business, that was too simple, I'd be like, but that's too like rudimentary. Like it doesn't sound like, because what we do is so magical. We elevate consciousness and we put women back in their bodies and we do these things like, and I cannot begin to tell you how many very loving people were like, Tracy, you're wrong. I'd be like, no, it's just too, no. But so I'm saying that because number one, fallibility is my best friend. And number two, it's so spot on. It's so spot on. And it was such a mind fuck that I went through. That I really love what you're saying because it is that simplicity that allows your follower, your audience, your ideal client to hear you.
Yeah. And that messaging that you're talking about lives or should live, I shouldn't say should,
Right.
would behoove you to live, right? That's better. This is more enlightened. Right. Okay. Would behoove you to live on the inside of your ecosystem. That higher level thinking jargon should live inside of the ecosystem. When people are in it, they go, oh man, I so get this. But to attract people in it, and this is what I started to say this before about top of funnel messaging, middle of funnel messaging, bottom of funnel messaging. Have you heard of this concept before?
I want to learn it right now from you. Go ahead.
Great. Here we go. Okay. So if you can envision everything can be reduced down to a funnel shape, right? Like everything in business, right? It's like your customer's journey, your whatever, everything's like a funnel. Okay. But if you can envision a funnel and it's getting narrower and narrower towards the bottom, your top of your funnel, if you can envision it as like a giant empty hole, and your job as a business owner is to get people from outside of your funnel, outside of the black hole, diving into the funnel so that they can then be in the vortex of your messaging, be in the vortex of your ecosystem. But your job is to get people into your funnel. So the top of funnel messaging is messaging that essentially tells people, hey, ideal client, I exist. Do you know that I exist? Oh, let me tell you, I exist. And I know that you should care about why I exist because I know, ideal client, you specifically struggle with X, Y, or Z thing. I know, ideal client, you're thinking these thoughts. I know you're feeling these feelings. I know your head hits the pillow at night. And I know that this is what you're thinking about. Top of funnel content is to really gain eyes on your existence as a business. Then once the people are like, oh my God, yes, Trace, she can help me with shit. I know exactly what she can help me with. Let me jump into her funnel. And jumping into your funnel means following you on Instagram. It could literally mean clicking on the link inside of your bio, signing up for your email newsletter, whatever it is that people do for your funnel. And then it gets a little narrower. And then middle of funnel content is where you can begin as the business owner to show up as the voice of authority inside of whatever topic of business you're talking about. This is where educational content lives a lot. This is where trust building content lives a lot. This is like, hey, I know you're already my ideal client. I know this is your ultimate goal in life because I help people get there. Let's talk about this little myopic area of your journey that I can help you with and teach you about. Let's talk about this other little myopic area of your journey that you can relate to me now because now I'm calling it out exactly as it is on Instagram. That middle of funnel content is where trust is built, and it's where you really solidify relationships as a business owner. And then bottom of funnel content, if you can just keep going and going, bottom of funnel is where you ask for the sale. That's where direct transactions happen. This is where like, hey, you know who I am. You know I exist. You know I'm the voice of authority and the thing that you're looking to do in your life. Hey, do you know that I have this purchasable solution for you to be able to figure your shit out that I know that you need to figure out? So that's like the very broad approach to how to create content is working people through a funnel system.
Amazing. I love that. I love the visual because I'm imagining like all the millions and billions of people in the world running around in a flat, big kind of forest. And you have this huge circular like area that's yours. And as they're walking through the forest, they hear that top of funnel clear, very digestible direct message. And then they dive into your what big wormhole vortex. They're like, oh, that's for me. And then, right. Like, it's like, but it's helpful because I'm such a visual person that it's like, and there's all different kinds of messages funneling through this vast forest with all the people walking around. So your ability to be loud, which to me is your unapologetic, and it's like your piercingness of your frequency of your authenticity, coupled with the simplicity of the words you are saying, right? So that everybody hears it across the board, helps them identify that much faster and jump into yours.
Yup. And then they go, oh my God, what did that person just say? Oh my God, that's exactly what I've been thinking, feeling, experiencing. Let me jump into theirs. But meanwhile, the funnel next to them could be doing the exact same thing as the funnel that the other funnel, selling the exact same thing, creating the exact same type of business. But that funnel next to them could be using terminology that their ideal client just doesn't relate to yet. They have no idea what that funnel does. And that funnel's like, hey, jump in if you want abundant prosperity, life, prosperity. And you're like, what the fuck? And this funnel's like, hey, I help people make more money. And the person's like, oh, fuck yes, I get that. And then they jump. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. But that was such a gorgeously stunning example because also I am you and you are me, right? That's just the truth of everything. And it is especially in the coach healing spiritual development space where it feels so natural for the service provider, me included, to speak in terms of consciousness and spirituality and oneness and, energy and all these things. And it's just such a beautiful reminder, like just say it simply, please. And then to your point, it's not the absence of that, because once you're in our world, like we're taking you where you need to go. But I think that was a really helpful nod for everyone listening. The simplicity has to live at that initial engagement awareness moment for the being to self-select into, oh, that feels like me. Oh, that feels like what I need. And then you get to geek out deep in, be in the 13th dimension of consciousness and whatever other fucking things you want to do.
Oh, and yes, Tracy, yes, that's it. And for someone like you too, like if I were in your shoes and I was attempting to sort of not reinvent my social media content, but create, really begin to like play around with, I would gather 10 of your ideal clients that you're currently working with, get them on a Zoom call because your people are your people. They'll do whatever the fuck you want them to do. Get them on a Zoom call for 20 minutes and ask them questions, and then start to pick apart their brain about like, hey, what were the thoughts you were thinking before you jumped into my ecosystem? Because there's ideal clients for you, especially in your world, where maybe they are thinking prosperity, abundance, bigger stuff. But I would venture to say a majority of people who enter this world, some enter it sometimes just purely in survival mode. And they're like, I need fucking help.
Yeah.
So I think if you just got directly from the horse's mouth, what are some things that you were thinking, then you can start to use that vernacular inside of your content.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more thing I want to bring up because I'm curious your take on it, because I have a take on it. Shocking. What? Us? Perspective? No.
I would never.
And then I want to make sure that we share like all the luscious things that all the people can hang with you. Hook or no hook? Okay, wait. And I need to say my level of okay, I had recently, when I say recently, my concept of time is warped. If I say to you it was 6 months ago, it could have been 4 years ago, it could have been yesterday. I don't know. So just don't hold me accountable to any timelines. But there was a moment in time where I posted on, it was my Facebook and my Instagram, stop saying, I don't know who needs to hear this, and just fucking say it. Because I am at my wit's end with, I don't know who needs to hear this, but because you're really just pussyfooting around from being direct and convicted. And then the other one is, what if I told you? Okay, so I just can't, you guys. Those two things are killing me slowly, and I need you to stop. So,
Love it.
Gorgeous Vicki, hook or no hook? And what's your take?
Okay, I have two answers for this. Number one, I've done a few talking head videos that go, okay, I don't know who needs to hear this. And then the second thing I go is, okay, fuck that. Yes, I do. Like, so like I make a joke about that. So here's the reality of it. I wish I could say Instagram is a platform that does not require you to like neurologically stop someone from scrolling, but it is. The reality of it is, there's got to be something that gets the attention of the viewer in the first nanosecond that they see it. Mm-hmm. Do I necessarily believe it needs to be a strong word hook? No. Do I believe there needs to be something compelling enough for people to stop on your video? Yes, I do. It's got to either be a visual hook of some kind, and visual hook does not necessarily have to be something like you hear a lot. Instagram growth people say a lot, like a visual hook is when you have your phone and you press play on the video and you act like you're setting it down. Do you know what I mean? It's like the one that's like a visual hook. Visual hook, it sometimes is when you're holding your camera up and you get really close to your face, like in that very first moment, it's like a visual hook. So it makes them, from a psychological perspective, go, oh, what's happening here? Now, another way that I've seen hooks approached is people do things in the very beginning of their videos that make the onlooker's brain go, what the fuck is this person doing? So, for example, there's a woman named Adley that I follow, and some of the stuff that that she preaches about, I don't agree with at all, but she's brilliant at what she does. She makes scroll stopping videos that don't require a lot of editing, right? Because that editing scares people. They're like, I don't know how to fucking do that. So they're like, I'm out. But like she does things that make your brain go, oh my God, what is she doing? So one of the videos, for example, she has a positive pregnancy test and she takes the positive pregnancy test and she smashes it with a hammer. And so you're like, what? And then it makes you go, like, I wish I could say psychology didn't make us go like this, but it does. We're like, oh my God, what the fuck is this video about? And so we watch the video. And so if you create some kind of a visual hook that makes the person go, what is this video about? That's the only way to stop the scroll. So the what you had said about like, what if I told you or whatever, I don't know who needs to hear this.
Yeah.
Those are like out of the box canned hooks that people always use. So I say, and we'll go back to the funnel example for a second. You want people inside your funnel, you have to stand out. So if you're seeing all of that same hook, what if I told you? What if I told you three things that, and you're like, oh my God, fucking
Yes.
take a hammer to my eye. Yes. So then the question becomes you as the business owner. Maybe you do a play on that. Like I did a play on that. Like, what if, I don't know who needs to hear this. Fuck that. Yes, I do. Right. Like maybe you do play on that to stand out. Maybe you do something that's a negative version of that negative version of, hey, 3 things to never do. Hey, 37 things you've never heard of doing or whatever. And then you make something playful in your caption. Like, did you guys really think I was going to do fucking 37 things? Like, right. Something different, something different. So do I believe in hooks? No, I think they're so annoying. And I think that they reduced Instagram down to this thing that you can master.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is it needs something to stop the scroll because people are numbingly going like this and they're like numb. So
yes, I really appreciate that also because something that I have learned about myself recently-ish is the story that I have told myself for a while now and the resistance that I create around the fact that we actually have to pay attention to the sales psychology and the engagement psychology because just the whole concept of it is so low conscious. Like it truly is. So it's like, while I'm over here vying for building the new world, right? And going, let's live in a world where everybody understands their own internal urgency, where everybody trusts themselves as a buyer, where they can go find what they want, self-select with ease, right? It's like all of this is part of hooks and my resistance that I've had. And even as we're building this huge, gorgeous enrollment team, right? And I'm like, and I understand there are certain things that have to happen because you have to help a person. And then I'm like, no. And I'm like creating this whole thing because my heart and my desire for everyone to not need this. Mm-hmm. But I have recently arrived at, Trace, no, those things are actually inhibiting the potential of the next level of how more massive your school's impact can be, right? And you have to just belly up to the bar and recognize that the collective consciousness is at a certain level. And engagement psychology and sales psychology isn't negative, it simply is. And to help more people, you're going to have to stop the scroll and without just like taking your shirt off, which I'm not totally against. And you know what I mean? Like whatever other things we need to do to help women help themselves.
Oh, that was Tracy. That was so well put. You're right. You're so right. And I think you're a perfect example of you've grown this multi-7-figure business that you get to make decisions now based on your capital and based on your zone of genius. So like maybe social media isn't it's not the thing that lights you up. Right. Well, you also then have a decision. You don't have to show up on social media. Who told you had to? You don't. You can use your email list to constantly be marketing to people. You can rest on SEO inside of your website. You can send out, I don't know, pay for advertisement through Google, through Facebook. Like you don't have to make organic. There are other ways to do it. But my personal opinion is most people, and probably most listeners, are not in the same boat as you in terms of a 7-figure capital that you can play with. Most people are average people stepping into entrepreneurship who are not there yet. and they need to figure out, how do I master the game of this free advertising tool? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a reality that you have to come to. And you don't, so I have a friend, Justin Schumann, and Justin he did a TED talk too. He did a TEDx talk. Which, by the way, you should listen to Tracy's if you haven't listened to it. Dear Fear, It's Me, Not You. Is that it?
Dear Fear, It's Not You, It's Me.
It's
Yep.
not you, it's me.
Mhm.
Oh, yep. So he did that, and he spoke about just he speaks a lot about in his content, showing up unapologetically in your Instagram. And he doesn't do any of those things. He doesn't focus on B-rolls or hashtag. Like, he doesn't do any of the stuff. He's like, just show up as a human being.
Mm.
And so if you want to immerse yourself more inside of that world and inside of that content, if your brain needs more of that than the whole hashtags scroll stopping thing, follow people like that. But I can tell you something, Justin still uses hooks. He has to, because
Yeah.
it stops the scroll, and his hooks just have to be, they're a little bit more human, right? He'll never be like, three times. Like, I can guarantee you, I'm not on his page now, but like, I can guarantee you none of his hooks are like three things that I blah, blah, blah. They're really things that his ideal client would stop and watch. And that's what you have to think to yourself about. What would my ideal client stop and watch?
What would my ideal client stop and watch? So, who are you without the filter from the top of this stunning conversation? And what would my ideal client stop and watch? That's a very simple and palpable question, because it also calls into awareness the part of all of us in the ego that gets caught up and consumed inevitably. Every single one of us has had this experience at some point, because of all the messaging on social and because of all the, it's a lot of influence. Grow really fast. What's your virality, right? Like, this is going to be the ticket to your Oprah moment. And when the ego infiltrates that way and drives you into that lens, you are no longer living in the lens of, well, what is my ideal client going to stop and watch? To me, those are very, to me, two different paradigms to be operating from.
Yes. And that's what I referenced before about, like, there are different ways to approach social media. And if you want to approach it as like, I'm going to make my content me, this is my page, me, you can. But then on the other side of that spectrum is, I have to build a business that's targeted towards very specific people. And so you have to meld those two things. And in order to get people to the top of everything has to do with the funnel, right? Is like,
Yes.
what does that person need to hear from me for them to say, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good. I could really just talk to you for hours and hours. And I know you could too, because we haven't even scratched the surface on all this shit we could be talking about. What is your Instagram handle, please, so everyone can go follow you?
At the No BS New Yorker. And it's underscores in between each word.
The underscore no underscore BS underscore New Yorker.
Yes.
Beautiful. And of course, it'll be in the show notes. And what's the best way for people to work with you? Like, someone really heard this and like, okay, great. I just need some Vicki.
If you want a heavy amount of Vicki, be in my membership, in my monthly membership. It's through school. It's called the Digital Launchpad, and it really helps people who have started something online uh catapult with it and really get stuff like this, like juicy messaging stuff. Let's get your stuff so clear that your ideal client is like, oh, so where have you been all my life, right? So that's my monthly membership. So the Digital Launchpad, and you can find that on just vickipollack.com. That's my website.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, I have one closing question before we wrap.
Yeah.
Will you close your eyes, please?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Just close our eyes and take a deep breath in. Exhale. Let's do that one more time. And exhale. And keeping your eyes closed, I want you to imagine that every entrepreneur worldwide is tuned in, captive, and attentively listening for the next thing that you're about to share. What do you need them to know?
whatever it is that they are experiencing in this very fucking moment is exactly what they need to be experiencing in order for them to hit whatever level of success they're looking to hit, whatever they deem as successful, the thing that you're going through right now, the thing that's about to fucking take you out at the knees is the very thing that you need to stick with, stay in, stay inside of, work through in order for you to make the impact that you so desire to make. Wherever the fuck you are right now is exactly where you need to be.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. I received that for myself in this moment. And I fully, fully agree because whatever is the portal to whatever is going to be next.
Oh, I'm gonna write that shit right on my fucking whiteboard, Tracy.
So good. Amazing. Amazing. Well, Vicki, I love you. Thank you. Yes, we will have her back, party people. So if you have questions, just send them over our way. You can send them to hello@theschoolofbecoming.com or slide into my DMs and ask questions or let us know. We are all better for having listened to this conversation. Vicki, I love you.
Oh,
And
I love you more.
listeners, remember there is always, always, always more love. Bye for now.